Assalamu alaikum everybody. Today we are going to talk about a short story written by Aamer Hussein. This short story is called Sweet Rice. But before we go to the text itself, I would like to share a review with you which has been written by Shusha Guppy. Right? She has written, or he has written, I'm not sure, but it is a very good account of what happened in the book from where this short story has been taken. It is from the anthology called This Other Salt, and it has been written by Ahmed Hussain, and the publisher is Saki Books. Well, let's take a look. You can see on your screen that um, Amr Hussein's first collection of stories, Mirror to the Sun, was a poetic exploration of the condition of exile. It was an impressive debut, a rite of passage into the distinguished rank of writers from India and Pakistan who have chosen English as their language. Nearly 7 years later, he returns to penetrate deeper into the same train. So, from these lines, we get to know that he has written this anthology after the gap of 7 years, which is a lot of time to contemplate on a number of themes, right? The characters in these stories are as varied and original as the corners of the world they come from, while the first person voice of the storyteller links them in a cohesive whole. There are those exiles who flourish and those who founder all suffer from a rupture in the psyche that distinguishes them from natives. However integrated they may be, the psychological equivalent of a slight accent or skin hue gives the game away. And the exploration of how each copes make this intricate tapestry of emotions so moving. Many stories are about the loss of parents, lovers, opportunities, the self brought by the dislocation. Now, we have talked about Bapsi Sidhwa and the era of partition, how partition dislocated so many people. They were so lost. They had psychological issues. They had seen such trauma that they were not able to cope with it. So, these stories, which are there in this anthology called This Other Salt, written by Amr Hussain, they are also about the loss of parents, lovers, opportunities, the self, and dislocation, displacement. They echo the uncoverable loss of the homeland and protective shield of a native culture. Similarly, in Bapsi Sidhwa's Breaking It Up, we have seen that how David and Feroza try to get along with each other, but this cultural thing, that native culturalism, is always there, and how Feroza's mother Ziri is so upset and not okay with her daughter, converting to another culture. So the theme of this whole anthology is somewhat similar. So we'll get to know more about it once we read the story. The title story tells of the death of a loved woman, a migrant like the narrator, but from another part of the globe. His search for consolation in a new love proves impossible and leads to more tears with a different but equally bitter taste. Problems of exiles are compounded by class distinctions. Losing a country, one also loses a social position. So, like Zeri was very, you know, emphasizing on the fact that Feroza should not let go of her roots because it is so important to be connected to a community, to be connected to a social position which you can relate to culturally and etc. So these stories, they also talk about the same phenomena. Shiri, the heroine of the Sweet Rice, is a Bangladeshi doctor whose banker husband has been posted to London. This impossibly difficult city where even a powerfully situated husband does not guarantee a work permit or a job. Cooking for his high powered guests seemed to be her only role. She finds salvation in editing and publishing the Nemakhane, an old cookery book compiled in 1911. So from these lines, this review, we get to know that there is a lady who has to do the household chores and she is not satisfied with the kind of life she's living. So now let's get back to, you know, the story itself. Now we know what the anthology is all about, and we know a little bit about Sweet Rice as well. Coming towards Amir Hussain, there should be a little bit of intro to the author. He was born in Karachi in 1955, so he had the opportunity to see the after effects of partition. He moved to London in 1970s, so he has spent his childhood in Karachi, and obviously at that time, Karachi was flourishing. Pakistan in general was, struggling and trying to get out. He's a fellow of the Royal Society of Literature. He reviews regularly for The Independent. He has published four collections of stories in a novella called Another Gulmohar Tree. It was shortlisted for this prize in 2010 that you can see on your screens, and you can find an interview between Aamer Hussain and a magazine which talks about his journey as a writer and as a human as well. So you can, easily be there and read it for your understanding, right? Now coming towards the story. Now when you look at the title, what comes in your mind? Sweet rice, like meethe chawal. As a child, I loved sweet rice, but as an adult, at this point of age, I don't like meethe chawal anymore. What about you? Take a minute and think about it. How do you relate it to your life? Is it something that you still like, or is it something that you have recently found that you like, right? So, how it is significant to you, you should think about it. Now, look at these few words before the story starts for Yasmin Abbasi, who suggested a final vital ingredient. Now, this vital ingredient could be about the story itself or the life of the narrator on the story. We'll get to know after we read the story. Obviously, I cannot finish the entire story with you like line by line, but I'd like to start and I would expect you to read for yourself and we can have a discussion through audio clips. Now, starting the story, a few weeks after her 40th birthday, Shiri underwent a brief crisis and then received an unexpected gift. This is how it happened. Jamil, her husband, one of those dedicated bankers who spent his life between his office, his associates, his business trips, and his bed, announced to her one Sunday from the shallows of early morning sleep that he had important people visiting from abroad, and others to whom he desperately owed a seasonal invitation. In short, she had to cater for more than a dozen guests guests at less than a week's notice. The dinner, she grumbled silently as she lowered herself deeper into the depths of Capricornian gloom. Was to be the next Saturday, and she knew she would have to excel herself, for even her best was never good enough for Jamil's liberal discernment. Now, if you believe in the stars, I myself is a Capricorn, but I not particularly, enjoy what these stars has to say. I do not agree, but I'm not sure. What about you? Do you agree? Now, when the writer is writing about the entire scenario, as we can see that there is wife and there is a husband, and then she has been told that she has to make food for some people who are visiting her husband, and she's not very happy about it. She says, "The dinner?" She grumbled silently. And then there is a Capricornian gloom. It is generally believed that people associated with this particular star or this particular group are always sad for some reason, and then there is Libran discernment. Now there are people who are from Libra star and they have different kind of personalities. So the author has maybe tried to differentiate between two characters by the help of these stars categorization, right? Now, the rest of the story you will have to read, and you will have to share what you have read and what you have come across and what kind of elements are there. We have to dissect this short story in the similar fashion the way we did Bapsi Sidhwa's breaking it up, right? So read it, and on individual level, please share audio clip with me of 4 to 5 minutes that describe what is happening in the short story. For that purpose, I would suggest that you go for these things. First of all, you can talk about the story itself, what is happening. Then you can talk about characters, right? Then you can talk about the themes, and of course, you can always relate the things, the happenings, the incidents, the actions with the modern society, right? So, this is how you're going to go about. In the next lecture, I'll be sharing your audio clips with the rest of the class. So, make sure that you do send me a separate um, video, sorry, I mean audio clip, so that your participation and your attendance be marked, right? So you have to read it at your own, and don't be shy. If there is any problem that you're facing, please contact me. Thank you for today.